Stories of food shortages and rising prices as demand outweighs supply. Reports on dwindling resources of water and Earth's other treasures. Headlines roar about pollution, climate change and sustainability, warning that as a population of 7 billion, we're living beyond our means. And we are going to get bigger. Our global population numbers have soared since 1820, when we reached 1 billion. It took us another century to reach 2 billion, but since the 1960s, an average of nearly 1 billion has been added every decade. The latest prediction from the United Nations suggests that that rate will slow, but still, by 2100, it says the number of people on Earth could reach nearly 11 billion. As frightening as that may sound, geographer and author Danny Dorling envisions a future brighter than doomsayers would have us think.
I think we can sustain 10 or 11. I personally suspect...
So that's the limit?
No, you could sustain more. You just have to be better organised. But to sustain at that kind of numbers, people can't carry on behaving as they are. They can't, in the rich world, they can't carry on driving cars around like they are with those numbers.
So in the coming decade, how is the world going to cope with this explosion in population?
The way it copes with it is that people are moving into cities. So the predictions from the UN are that the countryside worldwide is going to depopulate and all the growth will be in cities, and we're going to become an urban animal. The cities will get higher, the cities will get larger, it'll be a world of mega cities. And we could even see more wilderness in the future. We already see parts of Europe being abandoned, parts of northern Japan being abandoned. So it's possible to imagine a future where we're much more an urban animal and we go out to the countryside and so on our vacations rather than spreading ourselves out as much as we do now.
That idea of big cities and huge populations obviously raises this concern about crime, for example, but this is one of the myths that you're exploding, actually. You don't think that that is the case? Things won't happen as people expect?
Some things get worse, but many things get better. If that wasn't the case, we'd be living in an absolutely awful world now. Crime rates around the world have actually been dropping down. People have been becoming less violent on average around the world. Nobody's quite sure why, but we should acknowledge it's happening. We're getting better at living in cities and working out how to live this close to each other and interact in a way, and it's a very new thing.
One clear challenge must be the environment, climate change, the impact on fish stocks and animals.
We do need to eat less meat overall. However, eating less meat is good for you. Eating no meat is very good for you. And that's a good news story. If eating meat was really good for you, this would be a problem. But meat consumes an enormous amount of vegetation. Fish stocks, we've only just started domesticating fish. Fish farming is very new. We still hunter-gather in the oceans, but there are scope for getting more protein from the seas. But there are lots of problems with all these things, and we can't carry on living. We are going to have to become a bit better organised and a bit less greedy in the greedy parts of the world.
And when you talk about the limit being 10, 11 billion, around that,
yeah.
How does the lid actually get on that? How does it stop growing?
Oh, it's already stopped growing in the sense that over half the world, fertility is below 2 children per couple.
So it will happen naturally. It won't be the fact that people just can't survive anymore.
No, it's happening naturally. It's almost the opposite. When people can survive, when their lives get better, they have fewer children. So if life expectancy is going up around the world, people are having fewer babies. In fact, one of the major reasons why we're going to be a planet of 10 or 11 billion is not more babies, it's more of us are living longer. So more of us are going to be hanging around. So we're going to have to deal with a world with many more older people. But older people they have those advantages to older people. They tend to have a bit of wisdom about them. It's not necessarily a bad world in a world where many of us are older.